You're listening to Hungry for More, an Epicurean's Dilemma, and I'm your host, Trish Close. Stacey Gibson on the podcast today. She's a sommelier and owner of Parallel Food and Drink in Portland, Oregon. I first met Stacey when she was the president of Women in Wine Oregon. And I was chatting with her. I was a little intimidated. It's the president of this fabulous organization. And then I Googled her. I was like, oh, okay, she's super impressive. But she's also very, very cool. And I'm so excited to share her story with all of you. From Connecticut, grew up in Connecticut, went to college in Boston, studied for a bit abroad in Italy, which she says was really her intro to food and wine. Poli-sci girl, she spent some time in Washington, D.C., went to grad school for public policy, looking at the job board. She's like, nope, nothing on here sounds at all interesting as far as my future. So lo and behold, the universe has its way. Her best friend calls her up working at a restaurant in New York City. Come work here. Come stay with me. Literally off the train to the hostess stand. And she really kind of falls in love with restaurant work. Also falls in love with the line cook at this first restaurant. He was a line cook. She was a hostess and then a server. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, she tells the adventure of the two of them living in New York City, working in restaurants, working in wine bars, becoming the wine director. Super fascinating. 2013, though, they both decide they kind of need to grow up a little bit and want to do something bigger with their careers. And Stacey really wanted to live close to a wine region. So Oregon it was, and they move out to Oregon. And then another adventure unfolds. House, dog, kid, working in restaurants. This idea of Parallel, though, was always there. Started as a pop-up, very successful. Pandemic, right? They build that back up. They just opened a brick and mortar Parallel last year, celebrating their 1-year anniversary and doing wonderful things. Stacey is funny. She's super honest. And really, this interview conversation felt like an adventure the entire time. Here's Stacey Gibson. This is a Cremant de Fifi, Frenchy Fifi Cremant Trader Joe's.
Amazing. I have a Cremant de Alsace.
Ooh, fantastic.
Pouring by the glass. So,
Stacey Gibson, sommelier, owner, Parallel Food and Drink in Portland, Oregon. I have a funny story before we even get going on all the things I met you when you were the president of Women in Wine Oregon. I was this like little newbie. I want to be a Women in Wine too when I grow up. And you know, we were chatting and you're so fun. Your laugh is like the best laugh on the planet. And I was like, oh my God, she's so cool. She's the president. I'm hanging out with the president of Women in Wine. And then I Googled you and I was like, oh shit, she's for real. Like for real, for real.
I'm like, yeah, thank you.
I'm just going to throw it out. You're kind of a big deal, Stacey Gibson.
Thank you. Yeah. Tell my daughter that. She's like,
no.
Why are you going on a podcast, Mom? Like,
because mom's cool, daughter. That's why. That's why.
Well, when I first met you too, I was so excited to meet you because so our mutual friend Ashley, I mean, she had been talking about talking about women supporting women. She was just like, this woman, Trish, is amazing. Like she was just like, well, Trish does this and Trish does that, and she's gonna be good at this, and she can do this, and it's just like, and so I met you and I was like, oh my God, like you lived up to the hype and more.
Aww. Well, Ashley, speaking of women who can do all the things, Ashley Bradfield, good Lord. Shout out to Ashley. Yes. We love you, Ashley. We love you.
Love her. Love her. Talk about a community organizer and just an all-around good person.
All around good person and just such a hard worker. Stacey Gibson, one more time, sommelier, owner of Parallel Food and Drink in Portland, Oregon. Again, former president of Women in Wine Oregon. That's how I met you. I am so excited to have you on the podcast. Finally. All things.
Well, I'm stoked.
Okay. We're going to talk a lot about Parallel and where this idea came from, but I have to start from the beginning. Where are you from originally?
I grew up outside of Hartford. A suburb called Avon. And then so I grew up there, went to school in Boston, moved to New York, then ended up in Portland. short version. Yeah,
So
but I'm from Connecticut. Yeah, I'm from suburban Connecticut.
East Coast kid living on the West Coast now. What was it like growing up in Connecticut? Is it a small town, small area?
Small-ish, not rural, but smallish. Definitely like from kindergarten to ninth grade, I went to the same school with the same kids like the whole time. And then I ended up going to a private school for high school. But yeah, so everyone like knew each other for sure. I actually grew up in the town that my dad grew up in.
Oh,
I actually grew up in the house next to my grandparents that I grew up in the house next to the house my dad grew up in. And then my grandfather like gave him the land and they built a house next door. So
cute.
I was actually just talking to someone about like small town cops. And I was like, oh yeah, we were just like reminiscing. And I was like, yeah, my brother definitely got out of trouble because like a high school classmate of my dad's like showed up at the door, and they were like, hey, just keep it,
Right.
like keep it together. So it's like, it was kind of a small town. Yeah.
Yeah, there's always when you're in a small town and let's say you get pulled over and they're like, "Oh, you're so and so's kid."
Yeah.
All right, just move along,
Yeah.
stay out of trouble.
Exactly. I never got in trouble though. I was not
Of course.
a troublemaker.
No.
Mhm.
I have a funny story. I grew up in South Carolina. My grandparents lived in a very small town, and I'd go hang out with them for a couple weeks in the summer. And I'm assuming she was like a cousin. I don't know. She's like, let's go to a party. Let's go hang out, get you out of the house. And my papa at the time was like, don't you kiss any boys because you're probably related to them. I was like, okay, yes, sir. Got it.
Yeah, that is a deterrent.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm like, I can't hang out. I can't like make out with you because you could be like my eighth cousin and that's just gross. And I'm just not even going to go there. So Connecticut, small town ish, was food and wine important growing up? I read somewhere that you were not introduced to wine at an early age. Okay.
We didn't, we drank Franzia. Thanksgiving. Yeah, I have like very vivid like thought or like sensory memories of Franzia. Like sometimes when I drink rosé that I'm like, this is terrible. I'm like, well, because it tastes like Franzia, like it's like, and I didn't even drink it a lot growing up. Like it's not like I was like getting my own glass, but it's just so vivid. And we had these like blue crystal wine glasses at home. And I'm like Franzia and blue crystal wine glasses.
Okay.
It's like what we had to get. Yeah. I mean, my parents were like, they always cook dinner for us, but I don't like have, like, I'm not like, oh, we cooked this, like we had this family recipe or like, it just wasn't, it just wasn't like a thing, Yeah.
No, I get it. I've interviewed so many people where it's somewhat of polar opposites where they grew up in a house where mom was like the OG Martha Stewart and then others where they were like, we were Jewish, so you think food would be super important, but it just wasn't. My mom was a terrible cook. And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
maybe don't say that on a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would never say they weren't good cooks. They were great, like, yeah. But my husband is always, he's a chef. And so he's my chef. And he's always like wanting to do nostalgia. He's like, what can I cook from your childhood? And he's always trying to like dig deep. So like make dishes that are like from my childhood. And I'm like, I'm drawing a blank here.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea. I can't remember anything that my parents cooked growing up.
That's like its own personal counseling session right there. Your husband really wants to pull something from, the depths of your childhood and you're like, I have nothing. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so sad for you.
Yeah. Cause he grew up in like very casserole family, but he has just these really he loves a good casserole. And so it wasn't like fancy food, but it's still like comfort for him. And I'm just like, I have no idea what my family made growing up. I can't remember. I tried asking my parents and they're like, I don't know.
Your husband's Joey, right?
Joey. Yeah.
Joey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He's going to be next on the podcast because we need to talk about casseroles because I am a huge, I am a huge fan of a lot of work goes into this Pyrex dish and then you just set it and forget it. You're done.
Yes. And then you just big spoon it and do it.
And leftovers galore. I love that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you went to private school, you went to college in Boston. What did you want to be growing up? Like, what did you want to be?
I don't know. I went to school for business at first. I studied business for a couple of years. And then I was just like, I don't like this. So I switched to poli-sci. And then I was a few credits shy of an Italian minor. So I didn't technically minor in Italian, but I was very close to minoring in Italian. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do with those things. I was like, I find politics very interesting, like especially institutionally, and just really like it's really fascinating to study for sure. I don't know that I think pretty quickly I was like, well, I don't want to do this. This isn't like what I want to do. But I still find politics very interesting, and just finding out about
today. Do you find politics interesting today? Still today?
A little less.
We all need a Xanax right now.
I want to tone out. I know but what I do find interesting is like, well, I've always been interested in presidential politics in general, and just like different powers and how the way they can make their, just and how checks and balances and things. So it's still interesting to see, things that are happening and how, trying to kind of, but like, just I don't know. It's really interesting. But I'm like, I'm looking at like this, the Fed or like the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and people talking about like, we've never talked about this bureau before, and it's like that kind of stuff is just really fascinating.
Oh, absolutely. Like, we are not going to talk about politics. That's the one thing I do not. I am fascinated by them as well. I keep up with what's happening in the world to a point for my sanity, and then I'm done, and then I check out.
Yeah. Well, I did live in DC for a year and a half after college. So I had a little detour that I nixed from that. So I lived in DC for a year and a half, and I worked in a nonprofit and a law firm. And I actually did one semester of graduate school in public policy. And that was like, that's where my restaurant detour started. 'Cause I was like, I don't know about this. I was like, I'm either going to go full time or I'm going to drop out. Like, it was just like, I'm either committing all or committing none. And then I was like, I don't want to do, I was looking at job boards and I was like, I don't want to do any of this. And so I was just like, no, I'm out.
Yeah. I went to,
and so that's when I moved here.
Yeah. When I worked in the news, I did a story in DC. That was when the meth pandemic was super big. And so I went to DC to talk to lawmakers. And I give kudos to the young, like the suits and the aides. You have to be so passionate working for this senator or congressperson, whatever, that you think is the most brilliant person on the planet. I'm like, all of you are kind of idiots. Like it's just like a bunch of hot air for the most part. Or a little bit, whatever. We're starting to talk about politics again. Okay.
I know. But you're right. And and a lot of people are super passionate. They don't make any money, and
right.
Yeah. I mean, DC is real. It's an interesting town. I had fun. I made a lot of good friends because everyone was young, and happy hour culture is really big.
Yeah.
And everyone graduated college, and they're all like, hey, I just who's your friend? Oh, I had a bunch, so it was really fun. I do enjoy, the city of DC is like, is great. Like the museums and the Smithsonian and pandas. And I volunteered at the Phillips Collection while I was there. Have you ever heard of the Phillips Collection? Small private museum in Northwest, kind of DuPont Circle area.
Yeah.
I think it's only a couple blocks from DuPont Circle. And I was like I guess not a docent. I just kind of was at the information desk like a couple times a month. And I was like 22, and it was so fun. And then on our breaks, we could just like wander around the museum. It's a really nice little gem of a museum. It's great. I highly, any visit to DC should include the Phillips Collection.
Well, it sounds like that all kind of set you up in this world of hospitality, but I want to go back. In college, I read you did that Italian minor. Is that when you traveled abroad? You went to Tuscany?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
I studied abroad in Florence. Yeah.
And what was that like?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just I was 20 and I turned 21 while I was over there. And just like, getting on a plane and being in a new city. I really wanted to be in Florence, but my college they had a Florence program, but really their main program was in Parma. So they had the Florence program was a little bit more like piecemeal. So when we got there, we took our own class with this like private guy, like, he was hired just to give us a class. And then I ended up, it was really like, we had an apartment. We weren't in dorms. So we were like living like
Mm.
at like a real Florence apartment, which was amazing. And then like I had a few classes at it. It was just really piecemeal. So I had a few classes at Gonzaga. In Florence, they have a big program there. And then I ended up like dropping out of that and then taking classes at the University of Florence, which was really, it was amazing. It was really great. That was a really cool experience. I remember the first day I left class and I just like cried
No.
because because it's like, and no matter how much you know a language, like just having a professor talk to you, like lecture in a different language for, an hour, and you'd be like, your brain being so, turned on. I mean, learning another language is just,
Yeah.
so much respect to anyone learning another language. It's not easy. And being in an environment where you don't speak the language is so scary and intimidating, and gives you a lot of empathy for people. And but I did it, and I took the class, and I wrote a paper in Italian. Mm-hmm. It was like a full, and I made Italian friends too. And I hung out with them, and so it was really nice. It was good. It was a really small program, so actually I was kind of lonely a lot of the times. Like it was not a like social environment for me. But I kind of like love it. At the same time, I have just like really vivid memories. I would just be like, all right, I'm going to walk around Florence, or I'm just going to go do this thing, or I'm just going to take a train somewhere and just, I don't know, yeah. And it gave me the opportunity to meet Italians too, rather than people in my program. So it was really nice. And it just like, it was just, like wandering around an old city is just like alone is just like one of the best.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just like, I'm like, I could like close my eyes and be like, that's, just like.
It's ballsy, right? It's ballsy, especially at such a young age to go to a country where you don't know anyone, you don't know the language. And you're just like, hey, survive. And sure, you may have a few friends who can speak English to you, whatever, but that's a ballsy move. I give kudos to anyone who studies abroad or who just goes for a month and they just survive and thrive.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
I mean, it's nice to just be so curious about the world and just, it was great. And of course there was great food, of course, and great wine.
Yeah. Amazing.
It was great.
But that's sort of where you were introduced to wine and maybe food or whatever at this time, where it was really like, oh, this is fun. This is good. I like this. I like this world.
Yeah. Very much so. Some of it's age, like I could drink over there and then I turned 21, but like I could never, like just going to a wine shop and looking at wine and trying, just being able to, and yes, there's, you go to a trattoria and there's like house red that's amazing, but it also just like I was able to be curious about wine for the first time in like one of the best places to be curious about wine. So
amazing.
It was great. Yeah.
So you're in DC, you grad school, public policy. Is that what I read? Public policy.
Yeah.
And you're just like, nope, this isn't it. But then this, as the universe does, kind of hands you this opportunity, right?
Yeah. Yeah. My best friend was working at a restaurant in Flatiron. She's living in Harlem. And I was just like, girl, I gotta blow up my life, And she was like, you can stay in my room. You can work at the restaurant I work at. She's like, I'll hire you tomorrow. So, I mean, I really like that restaurant, which is also where I met my husband. The first day I arrived, I had my suitcase. Like my dad had helped me move all my stuff from DC and put it in storage in Avon. But I had a suitcase on the train and I arrived in New York, and I literally like I had the suitcase behind the host stand and like worked my first shift, getting off of Amtrak. Like I literally was, she was just like, yeah, you could just put your suitcase right there. And like, I just worked a host shift the first day I arrived in New York. So that was just like dove right in. It was like a couple days before Christmas of 2007. And so that was, we were just in it.
What was the name of the restaurant?
Lunetta.
Lunetta.
It's not still there. so sadly. It was right on 21st and Broadway, and they used to have a Brooklyn one on Smith Street, and that was first, and it was very successful, and they opened a second one. And I mean, also, which I was just not, this didn't register at the time, but they opened in November of 2007. And so, the next year they were still within their first year, and like 2008 happened. And so I think it just like, there was just it wasn't going to happen.
Right.
But the Smith Street one stayed around for a long time. And, Joey and I would go to dinner there, and because the food was amazing. The food was absolutely fantastic. The chef was great. His name's Adam Shepard. And so like it was wonderful, but it closed. And it's sad because we've gone back, and it's not even, they like ripped out the kitchen, and it like became a retail store, which is really sad because before, for a really long time, it was a famous diner called the Mayrose. And then they closed and opened Lunetta. And actually, they shot a scene from The Devil Wears Prada in the Mayrose when it was the Mayrose. So if you watch the movie, there's like, you can see, Lunetta, which was then Mayrose. And I was also watching an episode of Fringe a year ago, and I was like, I know that place. And they had fully shot a scene, and it's so weird to see somewhere so familiar on screen.
Sure.
And I was like, that's Garmage. I was like, wait a second, what is that? And I was like, oh my God, they shot. And it's nice to have those little remnants of something, especially a place that means so much to me.
Sure.
Because now it's just a hollow. It became a retail store, and now it's just it was gutted, and now it's closed. The last time I went was about a year ago, I think. And it's like just empty columns, and you're like, oh, many memories.
The funny thing, I looked up Flatiron District, and I didn't realize it was named after the Wedge building, the Flatiron, the Flatiron building.
Yeah.
So I didn't even, I just put all that together. Well,
yeah. So we were only like 2 or 3 blocks south of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, also, that's where it was near Madison Square Park too. So Shake Shack opened like right before we would that was when it first blew up, and we would like get on our phones or on the computer and they had a camera for how long the line was. And if we were working a double, we'd be like, how's the line? Mm-hmm. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to go get Shake Shack and like head back. Yeah.
I interviewed on this podcast a chef who started at Shake Shack at the original, the OG Shake Shack. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. She's like flipping burgers, but it taught me a lot of stuff. So that's super cool. I know what my first job when I was 16 was working in a restaurant. I was a hostess, and there's something about restaurant work that is, you kind of like, you get bitten by the bug a little bit, by the restaurant bug, because it's such a fun environment. It can be if your coworkers are fun, and you talk shit about the customers, and like, you just have like such a good time. I'm assuming you got a little hooked.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, at that point, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I took a wine class at the ICE, International Culinary Experience. I don't know. There's a place, it's a culinary school like in Chelsea. I took a wine class, and I remember being like, I said so vividly to Joey, I was just like, I just don't think this is for me. Like, I don't get it. Like, I was like, and I was just like, I don't understand. Like, it's not clicking. And then like a year later, maybe a little bit less, I ended up taking the WSET advanced class. And then I was like, oh, okay, this is what I want. But I kept trying because I was like, this is fun. I'd worked in offices, and I just didn't, it wasn't clicking. And then you're sitting here like, working with wine and customer, and I'm so I'm definitely one of those extrovert introverts. Like at home, I am like couch blankets, like Netflix marathons. But at work, I'm like and I will like talk to anyone for whatever. And so yes, being at a restaurant, I was just like, oh my God, I got to talk to people all day and run around. I love the busyness of it. Mm-hmm. I love running around. Like when you have like 5 things in your head and you're like, I got to do this and this and this. Yeah. I'm like, let's go. Yeah.
It is a test of how you can handle stress, how you can multitask. That was always impressed. I was always impressed with myself when I had 5 tables and like 20 bowls in the air, and I'm just juggling like just so easily, and I'm like, wow, I don't even know where this is coming from. Did you meet Joey like instantly or?
Pretty close. Yeah. We started around the same time, but like he got the job offer and then went home for Christmas and then started mid-January. So like we started at the same time and we definitely had a crush on each other.
Aw.
Yeah. It took a while though, because, I mean, not a while, like 2 months of just like, and then finally we went on like a staff karaoke birthday and we were like, sitting next to each other and he's like, and we were like, okay, this is happening, and then we like finally went on like a first date. So it was definitely instant flirtation, 100%.
And he was in the kitchen?
And then it just took a while. He was in the kitchen. Yeah, he was the pasta cook.
And you were the hostess?
And I was the hostess. So also like I would get cut early. He was working later. He would already be in when I get, when you're a hostess, you like get in like 30 minutes before serving, and then like you're like first cut. So it's like also like he would be like, she left already, or whatever. So it had to like be a moment where we were like, oh, okay, and then I started serving. And so then I was working more hours and
And you could go back in the kitchen and flirt with your new boyfriend.
Yeah. And be like, hey. Yeah. It's so funny. It makes work a lot more fun for sure.
Way more fun. Are you kidding? When your cute boyfriend is in the kitchen and you're the like cute server and you're just like, hey, Joey.
Oh, I have to bust. Gotta bust these dishes. Gotta get in there. The question.
But you guys were early 20s.
Yeah.
Dating, working in a restaurant in New York City. So stinking cute. I love this.
It was fun. It's fun. I mean, we just like, it's so funny now being together for so long and like we look at early pictures and we were so busy. Like when we had an off day, we were like, cloisters, Met Museum, like little, like we were just like, every time we had a date, it was like, what are we doing? How, what part of the city are we going to discover? And, now when we're off, we're like, okay, I'm going to stay at home and like do laundry. But
absolutely.
When you're that age in New York City, it's, even if you don't make a lot of money, you're still just like, what are we doing? Like what was there? Yeah.
So the first wine course you took, you just sort of mentioned it. You said, oh, okay, I get it. What was it about? At first you said, I don't understand. This is probably not for me. What was it about it that clicked? What was it about it that you fell in love with?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, because that course, I know why it didn't click. I know why I was like, I don't know what's going on. It's because it was an advanced course, which was great. And it's tough. It's a reminder about when you're getting into wine that learning producers is one of the hardest things about learning wine, because you can learn, hey, this grape comes from here. This appellation is this grape. But ultimately, the producers are what really makes you dig into wine and understanding who the big producers in a region are and how that translates to a wine list, or, that is like the hardest thing. And when you're first learning wine, you're like, how do I learn producers? And it's just like experience, like you just keep going. And I remember, because I still have some of the notes that I had from that class, and I was looking at them a couple of years ago, and they were just we were tasting really good producers, and they were so specific. And it was like, this is a great producer in this region. And I think I just went from step 0 to like 8, and I missed the middle. And so for me, I was just like, I don't know why I'm drinking. I don't understand this Sauterne. I don't understand why I'm drinking this Burgundy. Like it wasn't clicking, because I kind of leapfrogged right into good producers. And like for me, it didn't click at the moment. But then when I took the W set a few months later, that's when it did click, because I had the foundations. I felt like I really was like, okay, these grapes are from here. And then you learn producers after, and kind of understanding more climate and like kind of the bigger picture of like why each grape is in each place. And it clicked a little bit more the second time.
Yeah. When you say producers, what do you mean by that? Do you mean like
wineries,
yeah. So, winemakers?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I'm assuming, I know just in the state of Oregon, there are some more famous producers and winemakers, and then there's the lesser known. And were you learning kind of the big guys and the little guys and everybody in between?
I think it was the big guys. In that first course, it was the big guys,
Right.
And so it just didn't have that, But eventually, I think eventually it was kind of all of that. It was like, who are the benchmark producers?
Right.
But then also, because there's, especially once you get into buying and once you get into like writing a list and being a sommelier, like, yeah, you have the big producers, but you also have small, there's always small producers, always someone never heard about because it's just a smaller, whatever. So you have to kind of like, there's a difference between who's the benchmark and then who are you actually getting from your distributors and putting on the list,
When you're, okay, this may sound like a crazy question or a stupid question, although people are like, there's no such thing as a dumb question. I disagree. I think there's a lot of dumb questions that our people ask in the world. What do you learn? What do you take from learning about this producer? How does that apply to, let's say, a wine list? Like, how do you take, this producer, in Loire Valley, and how do you take that and apply that to, let's say, a wine list in a restaurant? What does that mean?
I guess if you are adding that producer, like it's kind of, do you mean, I guess I'm trying to like, if you're building out a list and you want to show like, these are the well-known, but also like I think about like Chinon, like one of my favorite regions. And I love Ogorofo. And I was pouring it by the glass for a long time. And it's like, that to me is just, one of the just pinnacles of Chinon, like an expression of Cabernet Franc, its ageability, how layered it can be, just really where it can, it's just great. I'm like dreaming of it as I'm talking about it. But then, I decided to stop pouring it. I put it on the bottle list, and then I'm pouring another Chinon by a producer that isn't as well known, and it's cheaper, which is great. It's 14 a glass rather than 18 a glass.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit fresher. It's a different style. It's a little bit fresher. It's a little bit more herbal, whereas the Ogorofo kind of had that classic Cabernet Franc herbalness, but it was just a little bit more toned down with more floral notes kind of mixed in. And
okay.
And so like knowing, where, having that handle on who's been operating in the region for that many years and really has shown year in, year out what they can do with that grape. And then kind of maybe a more, everyday vin de soif version of that. It just sort of, just for the list, it kind of is, it shows that duality.
Yeah. It's they're showcasing the best qualities of that particular grape.
Yeah.
I think that was always confusing to me. I've moderated a few judges panels for like wine judge competitions. And I was always, I'm in there when they're tasting and I'm, doing my video thing. And I was always like, are you tasting for like, is it good or bad? And they're like, no, we're tasting to see if all of the qualities of Pinot, all the qualities of Cab Franc are there in this glass. Not if like, oh, it tastes good or it tastes bad. And I was like, oh, I get it. You're like literally tasting to see if it's exactly what a Pinot Noir should taste like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Light bulb.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like benchmark producers really show that. They're like, because they've been doing it for so long and seen different vintages. They also get to know their plots, like you think about in the Willamette Valley, producers that have been, going for 50 years or producers that are on their second vintage, they might have good vineyards, but maybe they haven't figured out, okay, well, I want to do this kind of barrel on this parcel for this long with this much whole cluster. And it might come together. It might be a great wine, but having that benchmark producer that's been doing it for so long and they just know what they're, they know the choices they're making. Yeah.
Yeah. I interview a lot of winemakers and I see it when they tell me about it. It just kind of like falls right out of their mouth when they're talking about this grape or this harvest. It's just like, this is what we do. I've done it for so long. I just know this is what we do. It's like, oh, okay. I get it.
Yeah.
So you're working in this restaurant, but eventually you're moving on. You're doing different things. Still in New York City though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. You were a wine director at a restaurant, I read.
Yeah. I floated a little bit. So Joey and I, we ended up quitting that restaurant. We ended up backpacking through South America for like 3 months, which was the whole detour, which was so fun. It was great. Although we actually fought a lot. We got back and we were like, oh, we just were together for so long. It's okay. It was amazing. Now we just have amazing memories of like this really great trip. But when I got back, I was like, okay, where am I going to work? And I ended up working at just like, I kind of wasn't taking it seriously for a little bit. I knew I wanted to be in restaurants, but I found a job and I was making money and I was like, so I was just working at this cafe on the Lower East Side, like on Hester Street. And it just was really, I wasn't really, it was a job. So I think I was there for about a year. And that is when I was like, okay, if I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Like, I'm not just going to work at some cafe, just doing whatever. So that's when I worked at Momofuku. So they were opening on 56th Street in the, oh my God, I forget the name of the hotel. But on 50, it's going to bug me, but on 56 Chambers, the Chambers Hotel on 56th Street.
I was going to look it up.
And yeah. And so I interviewed, and the guy interviewing me, who's just like legend to me, just his name's Corey Lane. He had worked at Sambar and he had worked at Nobu before that. And but he looked at my resume and he was just like, I'm not going to hire you as a server. Like, is that like, you don't have experience? He's like, but would you be a host? You can be a host here. And I was like, okay, because I was just like, if I'm going to do this, like, I need to do this. And so I was a host at Montpeche for like 3 or 4 months. I don't even know. In retrospect, it's like those leap of faith moments. Like, I was making like $400 a week. Like, I literally don't even know how I was surviving. I was just like, what is it? I have no idea what I was doing, but luckily it didn't last too long. So I became a server after that, and then it got better. And then that's when I really, it's tough. It's always a conversation about working for free and what that can get you. But when you want something and you're like, I will do whatever it takes, as long as it's in a healthy way, it's great. Because I ended up getting, I worked at Astor Wine and Spirits as well as Montpeche. So I was working at the 2 places. So I was really digging into wine, and I was working under, so Colin Olevris, who passed a few years ago, but he was just, such a good mentor. He was like, you can like unpack boxes in the wine cellar. And I was like, okay. And he was a good mentor because he didn't just treat me like the girl who unpacks boxes. Like, he would be like, this is why I like this wine. This is what you do. Like, he really did like key me into things.
Okay.
And then it was nice because in the restaurant, it was very clear that I was like the wine girl. It was like, she's a wine girl.
Nice.
It's like, working for free before my shift and then just getting shafted. So he left abruptly. I don't know what happened. I have no idea, but he left, like one day he left, and the chef, Tinho, also legendary Tinho, he called me into his office. I remember I was on a double, and he called me into his office and he's like, so Colin, he's moving on to another place. He's from Montpeche, and I would like you to be the wine director. And I was like, okay, and I remember he said to me, he's like, you know what, you're on a double. Why don't you think about it for a little bit and come back, and we'll touch base later. And I just remember thinking in my head, like, think about it. Like, I'm like, the answer is yes. Like,
yeah.
So, but I left for my double and I wandered around and I like went into Neiman Marcus, bought myself some makeup, just kind of I was just like feeling really good. And I come back and I was like, so Tin, I thought about it. And yes, I would like to take this position. Right, I was just like, and so then I started running the list at Montpeche, which I was wholly unprepared for. I mean, luckily he had built a list and all these structures and spreadsheets and stuff that I could go off of. Like, I inherited an organized thing.
Sure.
But I, all of a sudden was buying with buying power that I just, okay. I mean, I didn't do stupid things, but I just think about like how I build a list now. And I was just like, I like this. I'm putting it on the list. And then it was just like, okay, well, what holes in the list do I have? I don't know. I remember a guest was asking me, it's like we all have those like cringe moments where I'm just like cold sweat thinking about it. But I remember a guest was like, well, what's the difference between like California Chardonnay and Burgundy? And I was like, and they're like, is it the oak? And I was like, yeah, it's the oak. And I remember being like, fuck. And I still like, there's someone out there who was like, almost like 15 years ago, the sommelier at Mapesh lied to me. And I'm like, I know. Okay. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Listen, sometimes we just got to fake it till we make it.
And then you just have to learn, you have to just find out the answer when you can and don't do it again.
Right.
So so we all made mistakes, but I think what was good about that is I knew I was in over my head and I was sort of ready to leave. I'd only been there 2 years. I'd only been the wine director for like a year and a half. And I was like, I'm ready to, again, I'm like, where can I ramp it up?
Yeah.
Like let's ramp it up. And so one of the managers at Mapesh left to become the director of operations for Laura Manick's Cork Buzz. And I was like, hey, Karina, what you doing over there? And she was like, we're hiring sommeliers. And I was like, I want to work there, And so I got hired as a sommelier. Basically, I mean, pretty much the opening team. I got hired like 2 weeks in. They had already soft opened by the time I started, but then I got in there and I got to work under a master sommelier, and she's amazing and she was a great mentor. And so that was really, that's what I needed, because that's when I learned about producers and I started blind tasting, and I just took that's when I took my intro, my certified and my advanced exam in really quick succession, which you can't do anymore with the Court of Masters, but I took them. I think I took my advanced within a year of taking my intro. Like I literally
wow,
intro in the summer, certified. I think I'm almost positive I got it. It was a year or two, but I feel like it was just like go. And then it was really fast. Because her mentorship was great, and I was just learning so much.
Well, and it's just a testament too of when you're under someone who is super passionate that maybe you look up to, that is a great mentor. I mean, you become this little sponge at that point.
Mm-hmm.
How long were you at Cork Buzz?
So I think I started in probably November of 2011, and then I left in August of 13 to move to Oregon.
Y'all decide to move to Oregon.
Yeah.
Why Oregon?
I know. Why Oregon?
Well, for a hot second, I was like, oh, I think she's probably from Willamette, because she moved to the Willamette. I was like, no, you're not from Willamette. Damn it.
I'm not even close. Yeah. Living in New York is just like a whole, it's something you survive. And Joey was just a line, he was just kind of trying to find his footing. And I was happy at Cork Buzz, but we were like, how are we going to be adults? How am I going to oh God, just the apartments we lived in were just like, and so we're like, how are we going to grow up?
How old were you at this time?
I had so 26 or 27.
Yeah.
28. Okay, because
pull up the calculator.
Yeah, 27-ish, 27. Yeah.
I
know, right? I'm like,
yeah. Were you guys also looking? You say looking to kind of grow up. Were you looking for something a little bit bigger?
It's funny because I feel like I couldn't get bigger than New York. You know what I mean? So I feel like it was more like, how can I definitely, okay. So we had two places we wanted to move. We were like, we're Charleston, South Carolina, or because that city is
Oh,
just
amazing.
it's amazing. And we were gonna move there or Portland, and we were trying to decide, and ultimately, and we were pretty close to doing Charleston. Like it was like we are like, I could live in Charleston. And I was like, I need to live near a wine region. Like I was like that, because in New York, you have the Finger Lakes and you have
Right.
Long Island. And I went to the Finger Lakes once, and we went to Long Island. I probably went there at least half a dozen times to wineries. Like we did what we could, but being by like something like the Willamette Valley and really understanding what it's like to be immersed in a wine region, I was like, I need this. And so that's what ultimately took us to Oregon. I worked harvest so Laura, she gave me almost a month off in October of 2012. And I worked harvest in the Willamette Valley. I worked at Belpont for about 10 days. And then I worked at Anna for about 10 days.
Okay.
And then we just by chance, Joey's sister also lives here, and she was getting engaged. And so we planned a family thing at the end of that. And so Joey flew here for a few days, and we like went out in the city and just experienced it. And we were just like, yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think this is right. Yeah.
And when I say something bigger, I think I'm meaning something bigger for the two of you, meaning like a bigger, totally. A bigger life position, a bigger, you were saying Joey was a line cook. Was he looking for something a little bit bigger?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like we felt a little stuck. So yes, 100%. Yeah. And I think too, we also, we really went with our plan. So like we moved here in August of 2013. He moved here actually a month later, but I moved here 2 weeks after passing my advanced exam. But then we had, we bought a house 1 year later. So in the fall of 2014, we bought a house. We got a dog 6 months later, and then we had a baby a year later. And so we were like, I was like, we got stuff to do. You know what I mean? Like, this is happening. So, we now have a 9-year-old, and I don't know how any of that would have happened for us in New York. I also like could see an alternate reality where we did, like we would move to Connecticut or New Jersey or New York, up like Long Island or upstate, like we just didn't, at the time I was like, I'm not moving to a suburb, which I would do now. Like, I'm like, I probably could have been more open-minded, but at the time we were like, I don't want to do that. And so for bigger for us, us having a family was really important. And, like I said, we have a 9-year-old daughter, which have you met my daughter? I don't think so. Okay. She's like amazing. She's like probably so pissed that she can't like come. She's downstairs right now, but like, she's like a little ham. She's like,
perfect.
She's destined. She's a big personality. So she's wonderful. So,
I relate to big personalities. I was the 7-year-old doing dance routines in the living room, telling everyone to watch me. Watch me.
She spends a lot of time at the restaurant. Yeah. And she wants to like, oh my God, she would talk to every stranger in the restaurant. Like she has no problem talking to people. She'll be like, hey, do you want to see what I'm working on? Hey, you want to see this? Hey, like she's exact same.
I think that is such an amazing trait to have, a personality trait. Just make sure she knows not to get into a white van if someone offers her a puppy.
Yeah. We do have, yes, she would not. She's very like cautious. And we do have, we have a code word and stuff. So
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel better about that.
Yes.
So I know you in Portland, you worked at a fine wine shop, right?
Yeah. Yeah. At Park Avenue Fine Wines. Yeah.
Right. So you guys are continuing this wine and, food in this industry. When do you decide we want to do something together, the two of us?
Yeah.
AKA Parallel.
So so Joey was actually a stay-at-home dad when Bea was born. So he left his job as a sous chef at Olympia Provisions May-ish of 2016. And I was the GM of restaurant at that time. And wine director. And so we, swapped. And around that time is when we started thinking about doing something, but we started as a pop-up. So we did, I actually can't remember when our very first pop-up was, if it was it was pre-baby. It was definitely pre-baby, actually.
Okay.
And so we did a few pop-ups. We did one at so a couple at a place that I don't think it's there anymore, but it was called NWIPA. It was in Foster Powell. It was a beer bar, and we had a friend who worked there. I think he was a partner there. And so we did a couple pop-ups there, and then we did a few more. We did one at Roman Candle. We did one at OP Northwest. Like, we just were trying to like do stuff, and it wasn't going bad, but it wasn't going well. But we also weren't really trying to find a home, so we were kind of all over the place, which is good. I mean, it was a tasting menu. So the whole concept was I chose the wine.
Yep.
It's really things of parallel. I chose the wine and he made the dish around the wine that I chose. And so we did like 4 or 5 pop-ups. And then that's when, this is how I'm like jogging my memory, is then we got hired to cater an event at a winery. And that was, Bea was like 2 or 3 weeks old when we did. And so I brought her, I mean, she was like, it's some of our like favorite pictures, but we have Bea in her, just this tiny baby in the kitchen at Penner-Ash, just like, yeah, I die. So cute. It's like, and just, she's so little. You're like, oh my God, this is tiny. So, or maybe she was like a month old or something, but she was very young. And, yeah, she wasn't a few weeks old. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense, but she was under 2 months, and we did this event at Penner-Ash. And, that's what started our like catering and event company with Parallel. So I was still the GM. I was at the Woodsman Tavern at the time. So I was still doing that when we did the pop-up. And then a little bit later is when I left to work at Park Avenue because I wanted to be more wine focused. And then, and that's when our catering and event career really took off. So we actually, in 2019, we had a great year. We had a great year in 2019. And then, with 2020, it just, catering and events. We did a few events, like we did a few like cool, with the one winery, we bought these little to-go boxes that were like 3 compartments. And so we like made these bites, and then they had like people drive by and pick them up.
Love it.
And so they were like, it was really cool and creative, but I mean, it wasn't like, a full-time gig, it was just like, whatever. So we still kind of kept going throughout the pandemic a little bit, but we had to rebuild our entire business after that.
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think too, looking at this from the outside, I'm like, what a great team. The wine, Joey knows the food. You can talk about flavors, and he can kind of like be creative with that. And it seems to have worked because you launched a restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We launched a restaurant. We just turned a year, August 2nd.
Wow.
So we opened August 2nd, 2024.
Congrats.
Thank you. I mean, it was a long journey because, my Park Avenue Fine Wines closed in April of 22. And I kind of took some time off from that. I was just doing some random stuff, and we were really focusing on our events. So in 22 and 23, we were just doing events. And we were still operating out of the kitchen of Park Avenue at that time. So it was closed, but the landlord was one of our business partners in the business. And so he was happy because it wasn't an abandoned building. He was like, you're going to be in and out all the time. So that worked really well for him. So we were still there. And, but we were looking for a place forever. Like, we were looking at all kinds of, we were just really trying to find our own home. And that didn't happen until we saw this place and just decided to just go for it. We signed the lease in February of 2024.
Which is pretty scary, right? I mean,
scary.
A lot of people are like, the craziest thing you could ever do is open a restaurant.
I have so many thoughts on this because sometimes I feel like I am floating outside of my own body with the life choices I've made. I mean, sometimes I'm like, God, this is so hard. And then I'm like, yeah, it's literally one of the hardest things. Like, I'm not like crazy that this is so hard. I think that makes me feel better because you're just like, oh, this is insane.
Yeah.
Like, I chose one of the hardest things
Right.
I could possibly do.
Yeah.
And whether that was smart or not is yet to be determined.
But
I don't want to like sugarcoat small business owners.
No, but in the same breath, I'm like, I applaud anyone who opens a great little restaurant or wine bar or food and wine pairing place, because those are the places that I want to go to. I want to spend my money there. So I also support small local restaurants because I know it's super crazy hard.
Yeah. I mean, I think when we signed the lease too, I mean, we definitely had the feeling of we have to do this. Like, we either have to do this or we have to stop. Like, it was very crossroads for us of like, we're going to open our own restaurant or we are shutting down our business and getting random jobs and just like living our life.
Yeah.
Which now I can't wait to do. I'm like, when do I, but at the time, I mean, I do with my whole heart. I believe that if we didn't do this, we would regret it deeply.
100%.
It would be yes. I mean, I will say, I thought it was going to be hard, and it's harder than I thought it was going to be. Like, I did not think anything about this was going to be me just like taking care of people in a fun, like that it was just going to be fun. Like, I knew how hard it would be. And I think it still is like harder than I thought it was going to be.
Have you had a moment in the last year where it's been crazy hard and then you sit back and you see something happen, maybe with a guest or an event, and you just go, okay, it's been worth it?
I mean, 100%. I mean, I will say something that even though we're on this uphill slog, I mean, we've only been open a year, and it's also been a rough, beginning to 2025 for the economy. But we have very happy guests. Like, I will tell you, like, people respond really well when we get them in the restaurant. I think it's always butts and seats for restaurants, but like, there are a lot of moments when people are just, they can see the magic that we're creating. I mean, in the last few months, we held a wedding here, a wedding reception. They had already gotten married, and so we held a wedding reception here. We had an engagement party here last month, and the engagement party was for this family who, I mean, yeah, talk about warm and fuzzies. There's this family, so mom and dad, two girls, and the mom and dad have been wine club members of mine since Park Avenue, came to Park Avenue all the time, we're in the wine club, stuck with me when I became the Parallel Wine Club, are still, I mean, they have been my customers for 5 years, and they now, they come all the time, and they've now had, one of their daughters is married, just had a baby, and the other one just had her engagement party here. This is where she chose her engagement party. And so, I mean, those moments where you're just like,
sure,
like, people are responding to the hospitality and the food that we're putting out, Yeah.
And I think too, because there's, what I know from friends and others, there's incredible burnout, right? When it comes to not only having a restaurant, but your husband, a chef. I mean, there's crazy burnout.
I mean, I work a lot of hours, but I do more childcare, like I have more logistical things with the kiddo. The amount of hours that my husband works is just, I mean, it's just crazy. It's like, the burnout is, and there's just no one you can't delegate, like, right. It's like, there isn't that ability. And so I think we handle it well between the two of us in terms of like, we're very much on each other's team. And we understand each other and we communicate really well, but it doesn't make it easier. Right. It's like, he still gets home late leaves early, like spends crazy hours here. It's just, he gets really tired on his days off, like it's, there's still like that, scheduling, I think is one of the hardest things.
For
It's
sure.
like, I think that like, yeah, we are very good at communication. We're in a good spot. Uh, it's just it's the scheduling
Yeah.
and life
The
and
grind.
it's the grind. It is, because it's like we have a dog and we have a kid, and like yesterday I had to like run home and take care of the dog and then come back and like, and then work until 10, and like just it's like just like all, and then I'm like, this morning I was like, kiddo, I gotta be like
Podcast girl.
ready, and I gotta like set my thing up. Like I have to I can't just like hit my computer at 11 and be like, let's go,
I know.
And so I was like, we got to get going. And she's like, oh, do we and I'm like, it's just, I'm like, yes, baby, I really need your help today.
Well, I love your personal philosophy. I had you do a little questionnaire for me. How can I make tomorrow's Stacey's life easier?
Yes.
I love that.
I am always, I mean, it's like, sometimes people are like, that's a problem for tomorrow me. You know what I mean? I am like, what tiny thing can I do where I'm just like, oh my God, yesterday, Stacey, thank you so much. Like, because there's so many things. I mean, even if it's just like laundry or dish or like whatever, or like sending that one last email that that tomorrow the reply is going to be in your inbox, so then you can take the action later, or just whatever, like scheduling something so that by the time it comes, you're just like, oh, well, I'm glad just whatever, like any way that I can make my life tomorrow a little easier is like, is great.
I love it. I'm going to use that. I love it. I do want to wrap up a little bit. Where can people, if they're traveling to Portland and they want to stop in, or if they want to just learn more about what you have going on, where can people go?
So we're at 31st and Sandy, and we're technically in Kearns, but we're on the Kearns Hollywood kind of, where we're right on Sandy Boulevard, right on the corner. And we are open Wednesday through Sunday. We take reservations, but we have, we don't book out everything. So we have like we have the bar, we have really cozy sofas, which are like right on camera there. And then some really cute bistro tables. So there's always a place, for a glass of wine. If you're having dinner, we do recommend reservations, but we can always accommodate walk-ins. And I mean, I love my wine list. Food, it's dinner-ish. It's like great. It's small plates, but they're not like tiny plates. It's not like tapas. So most people share for sure, but not everybody does. And the food is great. And so continuing our philosophy as well, each thing has a pairing. And when he puts something on the menu, he has a wine in mind that's already being poured by the glass.
Hence the name Parallel.
Parallel, yes. It was so Joey came up with it. I mean, it was well over 10 years ago, but we were like, how do we have pairing? Like how do we say food and wine together? And then he was like, what about, I mean, I think he kind of just came up with it because it was just like a subtle nod to like food and wine together without having to be like,
right.
Food and wine.
Some bougie French name that no one can pronounce or say. Yeah, I like it. Well, I like it. ParallelPDX.com is your website. And then on social, Parallel Food and Drink.
Yes.
Okay. I love it. Well, I'm going to come up and visit. I want the royal treatment. Please, ma'am.
Of course. I would be stoked if you came. Oh my God. I'd be so happy.
I'm gonna. Okay, I want to wrap up and get to the final three.
Okay.
Best advice you've ever been given.
I struggled with this one, but I decided to just pick one because it feels very, I don't know. It just feels, especially in the world for me. Are you playing a game worth winning? And it hits with me because it's like, especially at my age, like, are your priorities, do you actually want to, what you're fighting for? Like, do you want to do you want it,
Yeah.
you know, and where are you putting your energies to? So that was one that, yeah, that's the one I picked. Are you playing a game worth winning?
I like it. I'm struggling with that. I think right now, after leaving the news business, I really have to talk to myself, like go into deep talks of like, this is a really fun little gig that you just did, but is that what you want to be doing? Is that the game you want to be playing? No, I don't. And I have to like literally shove it off my plate and really focus on what game do I want to be fighting to win right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Or as you know, as our lady T Swift says, you know, if you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
it's just the flip of that. And it's like, yeah, I mean, if you aren't happy with where your efforts are putting, like, is the end where you want to be? And if it's not, like,
yeah,
prioritize.
Taylor Swift has taught me so much about life. She truly has. She's a brilliant songwriter.
Yes.
People give her a lot of shit, but she is one smart cookie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a reason why she's a bazillionaire.
Is bazillionaire.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What's your happy place?
I kind of had two, so one, just like when I'm stressed, like taking a walk with my dog is just like, I'm like, I just want to like go for a walk alone. Make podcasts, just like walking my dog. Uh-huh. It's just so peaceful. But then I was also thinking about it too. And I was like, but also like going to a restaurant and like going crazy is like one of my favorite, just like being just like fully present in a restaurant, like dining out is one of my favorite things in the world. Like, and I know like budget wise, you're like, oh, this is the first thing to cut. And I feel like I'm just like, no, like dining out is just one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
I was recently in Boston and I had, my best friend and I were celebrating something and we met up with another friend of hers that I knew a little bit. And we went to the seafood restaurant and we were celebrating something. And so I was like, seafood tower, and they were like, seafood tower. I'm like, and then my friend was like, I'm getting bubbles. And then we just like, and I'm like, that just like being in that moment is just like,
you slow down. You don't hork your food down. You just talk, you sip, you eat. One of my first trips to Portland, we went to Tasty and Alder. Mm-hmm. And we did that exact thing. We ordered maybe everything off the menu. We were there for 3 hours. It was fantastic. This is why we're best friends, because I agree with you. Dining out, it doesn't have to be super fancy. It just has to be good.
Yes. And good company who are on the same page with you too. Yeah. Like when someone's like, you want to get a bottle? And you're like, I do. Like, yeah. It feels so good.
I will always order a bottle of wine with you.
I know. Okay.
No question.
No question.
Done.
Bottleless, first thing. Yep.
Okay. Perfect segue in all things food and drink. Ma'am, what do you crave?
I mean, certainly with drink, I like any like bubbly minerally thing. Not necessarily bubble, but minerally. Like I think about like Chablis. I'm like, I wish I could stock my entire fridge with half bottles of Chablis and just like, boop, like just daily, just be like, oh, I'm going to drink my Chablis. That would be amazing. Like I would just like a little half bottle of Chablis is just like little joy, Yeah. But also champagne, always champagne, or, Chenin Blanc or something along those lines, like where you're just like, yes. And I don't know. I'm like, I love variety. I love like, I was thinking about this right after I was thinking about the seafood tower and I was like, I could do seafood towers a lot, but, I think I love variety. So I just, I don't know. I couldn't think of something like there's comfort stuff like pasta or, but, craving, I'm like, I change it up a lot.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
That's probably smart and healthy and all of the things. Thai food always sounds good to me. Always. Just
so good.
It's just so good. There's such great balance within Thai food. It
Mhm.
hits all the notes. Yeah. So, but I
Like
hear
a
you.
good pad thai is like,
I know.
it's like, we actually, for the first time, because we do Thai quite frequently. The first time we did padi as takeout Thai,
Yes.
because I think we never think of it as, just our casual Thai takeout, like, because we have other places, but there was a place near our house that was like under construction or something. So Joey's like, I'm gonna go to padi, and it was so good.
So good.
It's so good.
Oh my gosh, it is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was great. Yeah, it was really good.
You have been so much fun. Interviewing you is not really interviewing you. It's more like having a conversation with the girlfriend in high school, right? Where you're like, oh my God,
well, my
what are you
interview
into?
partner is the best. You're like,
Well, I can see why you are the hostess with the mostest. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? You do so many amazing things. Your knowledge when it comes to wine and hospitality is just beyond. And so I get it. It makes sense.
thanks. I don't take compliments very well.
I know. I know. That's why I'm just throwing them out and then just sitting here in silence.
You just like stared at me like, you have to react to this. I'm like, okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Stacey Gibson, sommelier, owner, co-owner with your hubby, right? Parallel Food and Drink in Portland, Oregon. Parallel Food and Drink, find them on social. ParallelPDX.com is their website. If you live in the Portland area, go check them out. Go say hi to Stacey and laugh with her. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Trish. This was wonderful.
You've been listening to Hungry for More, an Epicurean's Dilemma with me, Trish Close. You can watch this podcast and subscribe on my YouTube channel. Just search Hungry for More, an Epicurean's Dilemma. You can also listen and subscribe wherever you like to listen to podcasts.